Well done for making it back from the break. So much to discuss, but we need to crack on because we have an agenda. The new European Innovation Agenda, to be more precise. And I'll invite back onto stage Mariya, Gabriel, please come and join us. And I'll also Nicolas, Brien. Nicolas, you're the chair of the European Startup Network, and here we're talking about the new innovation agenda. The floor is yours.
Well, bonjour.
Bonjour.
How are you, Mariya?
I'm fine, Nicolas, and you? Always a pleasure.
It's quite weird to have this cozy, intimate conversation in front of 200 people. We'll try to make it as
Let's try.
straightforward as possible. I think we had an agenda to discuss something that really was popping out this summer as we were receiving all these very bad news from everywhere. We have like hundreds of thousands being laid off in the tech industries. We have the slowdown of VC fundraising rounds. We have the IPO markets that is going bust, everything. And all of a sudden, you have you, as a captain, coming at the helm of the boat with the compass, which is the European Innovation Agenda. And that came very much as some positive message to the crowd, to the communities, to the startup communities, because it's very ambitious, very positive, and very forward-looking. We're not looking at the next 12 months, we're really looking at the next 10 years. But you know how we do it, we say it in the startup ecosystem, execution is key. So if we have this nice, cozy conversation in front of everyone in next year at EIC Summit 2023, what are the top 3 things that you are getting done for startups with the European Innovation Agenda?
Well, maybe it's a little bit too ambitious, but if we succeed to have 20 out of 25 actions realized, it will be fine. Because for me, the innovation agenda now, it's really entering into this critical phase from the co-creation to the co-implementation. And we have 5 flagships. We have 25 actions. For me, the most important is really now to implement them as soon as possible. And maybe that's the great occasion to share with you the good news, because we already started some of the actions. And I believe that there is not so many examples when less than 5-6 months after the publication of the official framework, and that's for us the European Innovation Agenda, we have results. And maybe today there is a good news, because you remember the first flagship for scaling up, we adopted the Listing Act. So today that was one of the decisions of the European Commission, and I very much hope that this will give another push, another energy of our companies to stay in Europe and really to grow in Europe. The other thing on this first flagship initiative is that we need now to organize this meeting with the large institutional investors. It's already planned in February that will take place. Let's see what are the others, because for me, I'm talking really on concrete things, and I count very much on the community, because that's not the result of my work, that's the result of your work. On the second flagship, next year, we'll launch the first experimentation spaces on artificial intelligence. We identified now 4 key strategic areas in which we would like to invest massively and to see how we can advance together with you. It's agriculture, it's manufacturing. We need really to push. And when we talk about hydrogen, you remember that that was one of the examples. We already started the work this year, and next year it will continue. 3 other examples very rapidly. The third flagship, the Pan-European Innovation Ecosystem, 100 regional innovation valleys. I was in Munich 2 weeks ago, and the first 8 deep tech innovation valleys were launched by our universities. At the same time, we have already a pilot project with 74 territories, 63 regions are involved, really to work together. And yes, now the question it will be how we can definitely accelerate the pace. On talents, Deep Tech Talent Initiative, 1 million Deep Tech Talent Initiative launched in October. new elements, this internship scheme, really to bring together these two worlds of our researchers and our companies, to bring closer EIT and EIC with the European Research Council. And finally, we are advancing on the definitions of startup, scale-up, you remember, deep tech innovation. One important thing for you. This morning, I was with our EIC forum. They created a working group on stock options. And my message is done. The working group is here since today. My message to all of them was very, very clear. Let's not stop only sharing information, identifying administrative barriers. Let's really point out the solutions that we can scale at European level.
You're unstoppable. I can see the passion, the energy, so much getting done in like 5 to 6 months. Congratulations. I mean, the stock option schemes, we've been talking about that for many, many, many years. The IPO listing stuff, well, congratulations. That also has been around for so many years. The deep tech, we have always been struggling to catch this fish, and now you seem to handle it. Yeah, but coming back to one point of what you just said, you mentioned innovation valleys. And that's very important. We've seen many countries and continents around the globe emerging valleys. Obviously, we all have in mind the Silicon Valley, but even in the US, they were able to emerge. Texas, for instance, as a big hub for startups. We've seen a valley that is very dear to your heart, to mine as well, which is Southeast Europe. For instance, we've seen the figures recently, very impressive. For instance, $1 billion raised by VCs in Southeast Europe just over the first semester of 2022, which is just unprecedented. So we see that some regions are really catching up. Something is happening, especially in Southeast Europe. How do you make sure that it's not just regions catching up, but really regions collaborating and cooperating? Basically, my question is, how do we connect the connectors? How do we make sure that the German and the French are not snobbish about the Bulgarians and the Croatians? How do we make sure that the Germans talk to the Italians? How do you do that?
Well, maybe here 3 things. I think that first, always very useful to maintain the platforms that we establish where we can continue to exchange good practices, just to learn and to discover that everywhere in Europe, in all our member states, in this region particularly, there is a very positive dynamic. And we are talking about talents, and talents are everywhere in Europe. The second thing, I will use one of our initiatives in the New European Innovation Agenda, because I just mentioned the pilot project where regions are working together for partnerships for regional innovation. One of the criteria to be selected for this, and of course for our 100 regional innovation valleys, it will be this obligation to have less developed with most developed innovation regions working together. So I think that we would like really here to send a message to you to join forces and to work together. The final thing, of course, I will continue to use my widening part of Horizon Europe program. It's 3.3 billion euros. It's not nothing. And what I would like here is really to ensure real synergies with the new European Innovation Agenda and building capacities, have like hop-on mechanism. What is hop-on mechanism? And I'm really proud that with my team we did it, is that you know that some of the existing consortia are working like closed clubs, and that's one of the critiques that we often hear from our stakeholders. So now with this mechanism, we are offering to our existing consortium to be more open and to have the possibility for widening countries to join existing consortium in order really to participate in the project. So I very much hope that the 3 different levels, regular exchange, and at the same time novelty with this obligation to working together, and at the same time encouraging with our traditional instruments on building capacities, we can a little bit more chances to succeed than in some previous periods.
So we'll see more French people in Bulgaria and German people in Italy. That's absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. But we mentioned also connecting the continents together. And you've achieved something important. You've been the very first European Commissioner for Innovation to actually go to the Silicon Valley for the past 5 years, actually. That was a very, a lot of people noticed that visit. I'm wondering, I mean, we're seeing all these tech layoffs in the Silicon Valley. We are still seeing all these talents that are just, you know, available for a grab. How do we get these American talents to actually come and work in our scale-ups, in our startups, in our innovation hubs? And maybe what's your key takeaway from this Silicon Valley trip? Was it nice?
Well, I think that first I was not there in my personal capacity. I was really proud to represent the European innovation community. People like you and all those that help us to define the new European innovation agenda. And I think that more often we should dare to be in the United States and to say Europe is the place to be. Because we have plenty of talents, we have extraordinary ideas, and now it's the right time to invest in Europe and to be in Europe. And that's why one of the things that I would like really to do, it's not only to go there and to learn and to exchange, but to show what we already have. And that's why maybe that will be an exclusive information. I would like to organize a European Innovation Day in Silicon Valley next year. Why not? I need you. I need every one of you, our brilliant CEOs, to show how talented we are. The other thing is that we talk about deep tech wave of innovation. We have to be very, very honest. We are ahead of the United States when we talk about deep tech wave of innovation. It's obvious, and on the ground you can see that. My concern, and that's why I will preserve my energy to work for, is that Europe is very often good and in advance with ideas. We need to invest now, and we need concrete actions now in order not to discover in 5 years that someone has took the ideas, and already the competition, it's absolutely impossible to do. So I think that now that's the main moment that we have to act. And the other thing is that, yes, again, I'm convinced that we have to invest in our talents. When we look and we compare with the United States, we have something unique. We have an extraordinary engineering pool that is necessary for the deep tech innovation. We have extraordinary, vibrant, innovative universities. Remember, we created the European Network of Innovative Universities. They are all here to work for the new European innovation agenda. So I think that, yes, the other main message, it will be really now to invest in our talents and to bring closer the two worlds of education and innovation in order to show really the full potential of the European innovation and the European leadership in the deep tech innovation.
Well, still a lot of passion, but I'm realizing that we got all a big round of applause for European Innovation Day in California. There is a word that you didn't mention, and I think that's fortunate. It's the word unicorns. We've been setting maybe too much ambition, maybe too much hope on unicorns, which are just, you know, financial valuations. I want to bring in another metric, which is the gigacorns. Basically, these companies that are able to remove 1 gigaton of carbon outside of the atmosphere. And we've seen on the European continent, actually, we are leading. We are producing a lot of great green tech and climate tech startups. The figures for 2021 are really, really impressive. These green tech startups, European green tech startups, raised more funds than the US green tech startups, which is really, really fascinating when you look at the overall share that normally the European Union is getting out of the big money from the big tech. My point here is, instead of chasing for the unicorns, why don't we just put all our attention on the climate tech startups and the gigacorns?
Well, I think that we should not reproduce some of the errors of the past. So I think that innovation needs freedom and flexibility, not only rules and regulations. And that's why, for me, we have here the right approach. We have to identify our strengths. There is no need to be everywhere because finally we are nowhere. So I think that that's the first thing, to identify our strengths, and you rightly pointed some of them. Immediately after, to ensure the necessary flexibility in order to unlock the innovation potential, and that's not the case for the moment, let's be very honest. Third, I think that when we talk about funding, we have now really to make operational the different synergies between the different fundings, because that's our reality in Europe. And finally, really not to forget to anticipate with the preparation of talents and skills and competencies necessary for these companies to grow and to flourish and to affirm the European leadership. So yes, from my side, I think that we should stay with our ecosystem approach. We should be much more proactive to identify the tendencies and where are our strengths. And when we have these, not to hesitate, to dare to combine, and always with our talents in mind. And that's why for me it will be so important now to have these annual monitoring and data, the robust data sets that we need in order to react as soon as possible, not to receive that only from the community, but really immediately to join the different data and to identify the tools and the policies that we already have in hand, or we can have them very soon, in order to push and to encourage simply all these talented people to continue in this direction.
Well, I often say, and I can say it publicly, that you're my favorite commissioner, not just because you're obviously a great character, but because of your portfolio. I mean, you have education, culture, and entrepreneurship. And I think that's innovation combined with education can do a lot for the continent. How do you see the collaboration of universities and startups if you want to produce this new wave, this new energy of deep tech solution and innovations?
Well, I must say that I see really innovation as the catalyst for the necessary changes and developments for all the other parts of my portfolio. Because I can't conceive a cultural and creative sectors without innovation. I can't really see how the European universities of the future will thrive without innovation. And this particular link between education and innovation, it's very important. And I must say that our universities are very, very much supportive. Just to give you some examples. June, first ever European Summit on Education and Innovation. And we created a European network of innovative universities. They worked the entire summer in July and August. I'm not sure that you know so many rectors and professors working full-time in August, but they were there. And I met them in the beginning of Salamanca when they decided jointly to propose me concrete recommendations about the role of universities in the European Innovation Agenda. It's done. The 1st of December, during our education summit, this European network published a report, and this report is now publicly available, where they took really 10 concrete recommendations with concrete examples. And what was very, very a positive surprise for me is that on the different recommendations, you have already universities that are proposing to lead the implementation of this recommendation together with the innovation community. So I think that now what we need is a little bit to popularize the report, so don't hesitate to see what are the recommendations, because they are very concrete, from incubators in our universities, to the spin-outs, because we have to talk about this, to the role for talents in the Deep Tech Talent Initiative or the regional innovation valleys. I must say that I was really, really impressed by the pace, the speed of their reaction, and at the same time how concrete they are. Now, the challenge it will be to convince all the others to join, to focus, to create synergies. We are not asking all our universities to be innovative universities. Let's be very honest. We have to preserve what we have as unique in Europe. But I must say that I very much appreciated their approach, because even in one of the recommendations, they are saying that we have to take into consideration social sciences if you'd like now to have an innovation that is made in Europe. That means, again, values. That's something that we have as a huge strength, and that was obvious in the United States too. When we talk about innovation, That means that we are really not making compromise with our values of human dignity, of democracy, and that's something important for me too.
I would love to continue the conversation and maybe start a little fire with a chimney, you know, Christmas is approaching. Maybe you touch upon the call to action, because there are a lot of great people in this room. They might wonder themselves how they can contribute to this agenda, how they can propose. One thing that I told myself when I got into this event is like, wow, this doesn't look like a European Commission event. It's really innovative. You did exactly the same with the innovation agenda. The methodology to construct it and to build it was very innovative too, with a lot of bottom-up approach. So I'm sure we can take a lot of this expertise in the room and bring it into, and you mentioned it at the very beginning of our conversation, into the coalition of the willings. I'm sure there are many willing people here. How do we get on board these willing people to actually feed the European Innovation Agenda and to feed your own agenda?
Well, as I said, it's coalitionofthewilling.eu. If you'd like to join, you just have to manifest your interest to join us and to identify the different topics on which you would like to contribute. Now you start to know me better and better. You know that I'm very pragmatic. What I will ask from everyone is really, in that case, to show us how we can measure the different contributions. And one important thing, I ask my team to produce a web page where every one of you will be able to see how we are advancing with the 25 actions. I think that even with simple lights in green, yellow, or red, we can see. And for me, it's important because with the coalition of the willing, definitely we are giving us more chances. Not to do it in 10 years, in 5 years. Don't forget, we have 2 years to make a difference, and I'm sure that we can do it.
Okay, so don't ask yourself what Mariya Gabriel can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for Mariya Gabriel and the European Innovation Agenda. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.